To Chart of the Day Cafe for Thursday, January 14th, 2016. Just going to read our disclaimer quickly. Trading stocks is a high level of risk and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not be construed as investment advice. Thank you for your patience with that. So as always, we typically start our videos off with a 2-year weekly chart of the Russell Index, but because of the severe price action lately, I'm pulling it out to the monthly chart. So we're looking at the 5-year monthly of the IWM, which is the ETF that represents the Russell Index. First thing you want to note is the blue channel line that we were keeping an eye on through all of 2014, and then we had the breakout to the upside. Well, our price in the last several weeks has led us well below the lower blue channel line. So that is pretty severe price action. I'm going to pull it away from the IWM and take a look at the ETF that represents the Dow. I've got channel lines now drawn on the Dow chart. Here is the candle that defended price the last time we had the big sell-off, and here's where we are right now. Same thing with the S&P. Again, these are 5-year monthly charts. This is the SPY, which is the ETF that represents the S&P 500. There's that bullish candle that defended price, and here's where we are now. The other one I wanted to show you is IYT, which is the transports. This trend line, it's a very rough trend line. I know it doesn't capture all of the price action, but again, this is on the monthly chart, and here we are in this area where the transports may be testing the upside of this trend line here. Whether this is an area of support. You can see where the candles kind of slowed down a little bit way back here. Again, monthly charts, very big perspective. The reason I'm showing you these, and then let's just quickly take a look at the Qs because we've been looking a lot at technology. I'm going to do the same thing and put channel lines on the Qs chart. Oops, yep, there we go. And I'll put one up here. Rough, rough, rough. And XLY, so technology and consumer discretionary. So consumer discretionary is below that candle, the one that we're referring to on the S&P and the Dow where price was kind of defended, below that candle. So we're below it on consumer discretionary, but I'm showing you these because consumer discretionary and technology seem to be doing okay up until now. So we will see how things look going forward, but I love getting that broader perspective. The interesting thing to note this morning, oh yeah, the other thing that we wanted to take a look at that we've been watching is China. So again, in the bottom range here, 5-year monthly chart, FXI, which is the large cap China stocks, low, slightly higher low, slightly higher. And here's where we are now, right back into this zone here. Will it get supported? Who knows? Shanghai index firmed up a little bit overnight. The Nikkei, Japan index, sold off fairly significantly. Europe so far is soft and in the red, but Europe hasn't closed yet. It closes this morning Eastern Standard Time at 11:30. I'll be watching that close. I want to see how Europe closes. The futures on the in North America are fluctuating between positive and negative. The interesting thing I think worth noting, I'm going to pull it into the 2-year weekly chart, is JP Morgan announced their earnings this morning. So that's the first of the financials to report. Pull it into a weekly time frame so you can really see. And for the most part, it looks as though JP Morgan's earnings were okay to good. We're in that area of support for JP Morgan. Bank of America hasn't reported yet, but the banks will start to report here. These are the zones where if the financials are going to reverse, this would make sense that it might reverse here. So this is Citigroup. So we're in that extreme oversold. This is the blue line. You can see how far price is away from that blue line. Typically when it gets that far away, there's a little bit of a bounce. So will JP Morgan be enough to start pulling things up? I will be keeping an eye on it throughout the day. I want to see how it ends the day, but you can see that this was fairly significant support in the past. And look at that candle from that big August sell-off. Wow. The other thing is oil seems to be, I hate to say firming up a little bit because I wouldn't use the word firm, but finding a tiny bit of support here. We need a lot of follow through. As we mentioned in our video on Tuesday, it's all about follow through on these bounces if a bounce does occur. So there's JP Morgan on the 9-month daily chart. I'd be keeping an eye on this one today for sure. IWM, which really sold off yesterday. But when I spin through my charts, a lot of them, like Google, Cisco, they look like they're kind of in areas where, like when you look at this, this price action here, and the price action here, I'd be keeping an eye on these today to see if they can possibly lift. Chart of the day cafe picks. We looked at Boeing on Tuesday because we thought maybe perhaps it would get a little bit of a bounce, and it started to, but then it sold off again. But it's still in that range where if the financials, if JP Morgan's earnings this morning are enough to pull things up a little bit, the financials might start to pull the rest of these guys up a little bit as well. So that's Boeing. Again, at Chart of the Day Cafe, it is all about follow through and price moving up and over that blue line, which is the 8-day EMA. So really, really not touching a thing until you see price move it up and over that blue line. At least that's those are my rules. The other one that I thought was interesting, Calmine, and again, these are all high value charts. So with that, I will leave you. I'm going to include with today's video a piece that Cramer did last night on his show explaining the China situation. I thought it was pretty comprehensive and good. Jim Cramer does such a good job on those. So he's, everyone's got to be super, super careful. Anything can happen. China's a big deal. So he gives you a little bit of a reference around that and some lines to watch. So with that, I will leave you, and I hope you have a nice weekend. We'll put out a video next Tuesday. Thanks very much for watching.